Cool. Can we get them? Okay then, thanks for making it through apparent gridlock in the centre of Bristol and coming along on this evening all the same. Just start off by introducing myself and the photographic angle of what we do, and then we'll move on to the main talk of the evening, which is Matt, the photo voice. Okay. Basically, yeah, off you go, Matt. If you would. Okay, I'm Anthony. Okay, I'm just communications manager, which is basically a bit of a fancy title of someone who gets the message out there about TPA, the photographic angle of what we do. Recently, I've just become head of educational events, which also means I basically come out and organise talks like this, which surround our major events, which are actually our exhibitions. Okay, so who are we and what do we do precisely? We actually promote the education of photography nationwide. Okay, what that means is we are in ourselves not exactly educators, but we facilitate education. Okay, I'm not an expert on photography. I know a bit about participatory photography, about vernacular photography, about sort of diplomatic photography, all sorts of areas. I'm married to a photographer, but I can't talk to you greater than that. I can promote photography itself. What we do, major thing we do is hold exhibitions. We hold, on average, 150 a year. Okay, 4, sometimes 5 a week, for 5 days. Okay, typically. So short exhibitions. We come often to Bristol. We've got several flyers here, forthcoming exhibitions. One has just finished, which is what this talk is actually about. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the talk in advance of the exhibition, but this will explain participatory photography, so the actual subject matter, which is a little bit more interesting itself. We also offer bursaries because we're promoting education in photography. The talks I've just mentioned, we have tutorials online. Okay, it's an area we're developing a lot more with. We've just got a new curator on board, and he's managing that through his various educational contacts. Outside of that, of course, because we're a nationwide organisation and because we work with lots of people like Photo Voice, Royal Photographic Society and other universities and colleges, we're into building networks of photographers, educators, so that after coming to exhibitions they can get in contact with each other. We're not necessarily promoting the selling of photography, but it's the education once again. Could you go on again, that please? So the exhibitions, as I said before, we've got all sorts of locations, and here's quite a few of them, dotted all over the country. As you see, we're heavily focused around London. The beds are where I sleep from time to time, and there's one of our helpers. This is a couple of the lads setting up one of our exhibitions. We don't, as you see, we don't show high quality prints framed in a bespoke way. Okay, because we tour exhibitions, we have to move work on. Okay, so printed. This is an example of one of our exhibitions. Printed up and then moved on. This was an example of an exhibition which we typically have 20 photographers in each exhibition. This was a photographer from India who submitted his work to us via our website, which I'll mention a little more in a minute. The bursaries, as I mentioned earlier. Photo Voice receives some money from us. Also, Royal Photographic Society, St Martin's, UCC, and Newport. Okay, our current bursaries, if you go online, if you have a look at our website, for this academic year are closed. However, we are reviewing the situation at the moment, and there will be interesting things happening soon, Jim. Next, please. So, as I said, online, finally, we have our website. First of all, the website, the tutorials area is currently being developed, but the main area that we've been working with a lot, and how we put these exhibitions on, is our submissions area. Basically, anyone, any member of the public, can submit their work to be exhibited through us. Okay? As you can see, if you are a fine art photographer, we are not going to be able to print your photos in perfect quality. However, we do tour them all over the country for free. Okay, we are a charity, we are not a profit-making organisation. So you can go to our submissions page, you can look at a couple of our themes, okay, read a little bit about it, and if something excites you, submit 3 images. At the end of the submission period, we review them, and then we will ask for a further 7. Okay, minimum 10 images, because we have typically almost 200 photographs in an exhibition to choose from. So I would certainly encourage you to do that, and if you're looking to get some exposure for your work, then that's an interesting thing to do. It's part of an exhibition program at the moment which is becoming more genre-led so that we can educate around it. So for example, if we're doing a documentary exhibition, as Our Stories was, and we'll be touring again soon, there'll be talks on documentary photography, things online about documentary photography as well, rather than something less specific. Networks, obviously, as you can see, various networks that we're on, that we try to build following through. And that just about brings me to the end. Okay, talks and presentations. So my job is to come out and talk a little bit, to present forthcoming talks, which I can hand over now to Matt from Photo Voice, who we've been working with quite a lot over the last year and have been touring their exhibition for them. But Matt will now talk a little bit about participatory photography.
But I'm here to talk about the work of Photo Voice, and specifically around what participatory photography is in the way that we use it. First of all, can I just have a quick show of hands? Who's familiar with the term participatory photography? Just about everybody. So it's not a new term, and it's not, and it's pretty widespread as a phenomenon. Photo Voice, as our tagline suggests, uses participatory photography as a tool for social change. So that's our specific remit and the specific direction of our projects. Participatory photography, just to define terms a little bit, is photography by the people who are affected by the issues or the situation being depicted by the photographs. So that's the kind of essence of participatory photography. It's photography directed back on a situation which the photographer is part of, rather than, for example, documentary photography, where a third party might come into a situation. The classic journalism approach might travel out to Haiti, where there's just been a disaster, take photographs as somebody that's just arrived there and sees what's one of the projects that's featured in the Voices exhibition is Look Out London, which was a pilot project engaging young people in London specifically around the issues of gangs and knife crime. Basically because there was a lot of media and political debate around those issues at the time, and absolutely no involvement or sort of discussion with young people themselves, who are the ones affected most by those issues, the ones most at risk, the ones most endangered, and also the ones who hold the key to a kind of change of practice and to identifying what issues might cause them, despite their preferences, to end up, for example, in a gang. We've expanded it to Look Out UK. We're now working across the country with young people from all sorts of different backgrounds. We're not working specifically with gang-affected young people or gang members or young offenders, although we are working with some groups of young offenders. We're also working with just young people from states, with schools, just young people from more affluent backgrounds in secondary schools, and just trying to raise the profile a bit of these issues and it being okay to discuss them. And we've expanded it a little bit so that we're not being so prescriptive about it being gangs and knife crime. We want them to actually choose the target issues of this project. So I'll just flash through a few images, but there's plenty of this on our website and in the Voices exhibition. But these are from Look Out London. And there was a poster campaign run across London using these images just to try and kind of engage young people and just to show them that actually young people talking about these issues is okay. And then the documentary that some of you were here for that I showed at the beginning is just one of the outputs from a set of workshops that we've done as part of this project in Peckham in the right-hand state there. But we're doing Look Out Liverpool, Look Out Manchester, Look Out Glasgow, another 2 sets of workshops around the London area. And in 2013, there's going to be a whole year of youth-focused campaigning, but also hopefully as much media coverage as we can garner to showcase what young people think about these issues, how they think. We've got a youth conference in June, which will be in Liverpool, where they'll be starting we'll start the process of building a youth manifesto, not just young people who've taken part in workshops. Obviously we'd be using that photographic work a lot as kind of stimulus for debate, but also young people from local schools will be taking part. Then that youth manifesto will be going online and being like an active document that we'll be trying to get young people through schools and through youth groups to engage with. And then in September we're having a culminatory conference, 2-day event with lots of live music and fun activities for young people, as well as debate and discussion and workshops, to try and kind of finalise that and create a document that we can present to 10 Downing Street and make an open presentation to the press, showing actually what young people feel are the priorities. We're going to hopefully involve at least 1,000 young people across the country directly, and a lot more indirectly through this project. I'm just flashing through them because I just want to show you a couple of images from the new project before I finish and take questions. Yes, but we've got time for a few questions if anyone's got any. So clap down, no questions.
Can I just, oh sorry, please do.
I was going to ask about, thanks, really enjoyed the talk, and I saw the exhibitions.
Oh great.
Yeah, it's fantastic, really good. Interested in the facilitation of the sessions. Talked earlier about, people might have failed with visual literacy, might, work in cliches and that kind of thing. So I'm interested in, because in the exhibition it's very clear, and also there's a high level of sophistication in a lot of the images, and they're not going through direct, obvious kind of representations. So how are they facilitated? How do those conversations kind of come about to encourage the participants to think and look in a different kind of way?
Well, we have all of our facilitation staff are professional photographers, normally have had a background in photojournalism, so that's a great, and we obviously select from our pool of freelancers people who have a kind of a suitable style and background to approach that issue. But all of our workshops, we have, our normal course is about 10 workshops, 10 4-hour workshops, and every workshop we try and progress in terms of technical ability, sort of technical concepts, and at the same time some exploration of the issue. So it's not we spend 5 days just looking at technical photography and literacy and then go, right, okay, go off and do some work on it. It's a gradual process because one strengthens the other and the other one strengthens the other. So for example, we might start off, the first kind of concept they might be looking at is framing, which is really, is obviously something which factors into lots of other aspects, but they'll start thinking about, when I take a photograph, I'm actually thinking not only about what I want to take it of, but also what I'm going to leave out of the frame, what I'm going to make sure is in the frame, and things like that. But then we'll start applying that to, well, okay, so if you're telling a story and you actually want to make a point about something, what do you need in the frame to tell that story, and what do you want to leave out because it will be distracting or it won't make a strong photo. So that's how we kind of start to get them thinking in terms of what they want to communicate at the same time as building up their visual literacy. And it does become a lot easier to talk about concepts like perspective, rule of thirds, lines, balance, all of those kind of concepts, metaphoric photography and so on, when you've actually instantly got something for them to think about in terms of communicating through photography. Does that answer your
Yeah.
question?